I owe you guys a huge apology, man. I'm sorry. I did something I shouldn't have, and I'm gonna make it right tonight. We're gonna do a little intro to the video tonight, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna relinquish my burden on you, okay? And I'm gonna share some information that's gonna be very important to you if you plan to continue in this hunting, outdoor fishing lifestyle. It's devastating. Right after this. All right, I hope you like those little intros, those little slideshows. Sometimes I get a little carried away and they're a little bit long and drawn out, but I've got so much to share and I just get, like I said, I get carried away. So apologies if they're a little long, but I hope you enjoy them. So last week I did a little intro, a little tutorial, I guess is the word they use nowadays. I call it a lesson, where I invite people to watch the video that have been interested in going hunting but never really have a path to get there. Give them the tools they need in order to research the information properly, to get a good solid bit of advice that's going to help them, and then they can build from there and discover and figure it out, right? So I was thinking about this right after the spring turkey event that I attended and sold many copies of my book, Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman. And by the way, this Friday I'm giving away a copy of my book, Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman. Now, if you'd like to get a copy this Friday, email me. Get my email paper out here at Peter M. Updike. That's not it. My grandson made me that. Peter M. Updike at gmail.com. Again, that's Peter M. Updike at gmail.com. You be the 10th email, and I will send you a free copy of my book, Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman. Just for fun, okay? I gave away 3 copies at the turkey event. So, and then one fella sent me a check for 2 copies. I appreciated that so much. He didn't have any money with him, so I said, here, just take one. And he sent me a check for 2 copies. Man, that's awesome. Thank you very much. It just tells you a little bit about the character and nature of the people we're involved with in the outdoor sports, right? I gave a couple of copies away to youth and hope it's an inspiration to them. But again, my big apology is that I might be leading you down a path that's going to lead to heartbreak, heartache, and emotional stress that, when I first started hunting, in my youth, and early on, I really didn't have any trouble with going hunting and just doing it. I never really saw it as something that I needed to be sold out for, right? I didn't see it as something that I really needed to grab by the horns, right, and wrestle with. But it became that. It became that when I was in my early 30s, I suppose. My brother invited me on a turkey hunt, and I went turkey hunting. Some property he had permission to be on and to hunt, and he put me on some turkeys, and very first time out, I shot a jake. And that story's in my book. Anyway, a few weeks later, he had invited me back down again, and I went down there and I shot my first longbeard. Now, my brother who I love and respect and admire very much for his family and his commitment to his family and his work. He's a farmer, and he dives into everything that he does. He really doesn't hunt. He really didn't have any desire to hunt, but he shared the opportunity with me to hunt on that property he was in charge of. And I killed my first longbeard. I got a picture of that right here. That's me about 30 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. But he put me down in the swamp in a scrub oak pile. Scrub oak pile. You know, the low hanging, leaning up against a tree. For an hour and 15 minutes in the pitch black dark, drove me down there and set me out and left me there by myself. I wasn't scared, but I thought it was kind of weird. He's always been doing that. I don't know why. But always leaves me out in the dark. But he said to me, he said, now Peter, says, now I figured out that my brother didn't know any more about it than I did. But he said, no, whatever you do, just don't call too much. Now I'm got a bad habit. I call when I want to, right? I call when I feel the urge. I don't let the clock or anything dictate when or if I should call. But I had a Lynch box call. Got that box call right up here. Look at that box call. The year on there is 19. I don't know if you can see it. I carved the year 1997. That's when I got this call. And then I got all of the notches in there for all the birds. See all those notches? I run out of space. But I used that call to call in this longbeard. And I didn't hear any gobbles at daylight. And I called right at daylight just as he instructed. I had my mask on, my shotgun, and my camo, and I was sitting in cover. And I only had a little window outside that cover. It's kind of like a natural blind. I could only see out of this one little blind, out one little hole. Anyway, I kept calling, and about 7:45, I hadn't heard a gobble, hadn't seen a bird, hadn't heard a bird. And I'd been calling every 15 minutes ever since daylight, and I was to the point to where I just thought I wasn't going to kill a gobbler. And again, I had killed a jake earlier in the first weekend of the season. I'd killed a jake, and I'd been down there several times since then. But all of a sudden, a bird gobbled from in the orange grove. It was on the edge of an orange grove, and a bird gobbled in the orange grove. And then I could, for the first time, I heard spitting and drumming. I never heard spitting and drumming before, and I kind of marveled at the sound. I said, "What the heck is that noise?" I can hear him in there. It's just boom. Doom, doom. And I got in trouble for shooting that jake. Or he didn't really scold me, but really would have preferred that I'd not shot that jake. And don't shoot another one, right? So I needed to see a longbeard, and a bird walked across the opening. I didn't see a beard, but seconds later, I realized it too was a mature longbeard. I just couldn't see it. The beard just laid in tight against the breast. Now I can look at a bird, and I can look at his head and look at his body structure. I know he's a gobbler, right? I'm an experienced turkey hunter. I don't need to see a beard necessarily to know he's a mature gobbler. He went by, and then the second bird came by. I didn't know there were two birds, and that beard was sticking out there like a flag on the 4th of July, man. And I took that Ithaca Model 37, I laid it out there, and boy, I let that thing roar. And I killed that turkey, and something happened to me that day. Something happened to me that morning. I was like, you know what? I am sold out to this hunting thing. I'm sold out to going into the woods in the middle of the morning before daylight, in the darkness of the morning before daylight, and going hunting. And sneaking around out there and making turkey sounds and getting in a tree stand and deer hunting. And I'm all sold out for conservation. I'm all sold out for state wildlife. I'm all sold out for all of it. The organization. Join the NWTF. Join every organization there is that promotes the Duck Unlimited and the Whitetail Institute and all the rest of them. Join them all, because I'm sold out. I want to start writing stories. I want to start drawing pictures. I was all sold out. And for a while there, I went on a tear. Every bird that I heard gobble, whether it was on public land or private land, every bird, for the first like 10 birds that I killed, I killed them. They would come in and I'd shoot them. And I thought, man, I went to Georgia on my buddy's property, and he said, now look, I'm gonna tell you something. I said, we got a bird down on there on the field that no one can kill. I said, really? He said, well, he just stands out there and gobbles, so he don't never come in. We've been hunting him the whole season. And a big cold front come in, and me and my wife, we drove our travel trailer up there. And I pulled my travel trailer up there, and we was camping. And it was the only hunt my wife ever accompanied me on. And that front came through in the storms, and we had hunted the morning before that and the evening before that. 2 hunts. Hadn't heard any gobbles, hadn't seen any birds. There were hens out there, you know, jakes. We weren't allowed to shoot any jakes. And right after that storm rolled in, the sky cleared up. It was in Macon County, Georgia. The sky cleared up. And the wind was blowing 90 to nothing, but it was clear blue skies, and the air was cold. And I went down and got underneath that pine tree. And that big old gobbler come out down at the end of the field, and I called to that bird, and about 15 seconds later, that bird was dead. I killed it. And I allowed myself to think that, you know what, there's nothing can stop me. Well, turns out there is something that can stop you. It's called a turn of events. That in a world of variables, things are bound to go wrong, and things are destined to hurt you, okay? And I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about spiritual pain, mental pain. You watch that arrow fly over the back of that deer, once in a lifetime shot, you realize you're vulnerable. I haven't warned anybody on this YouTube thingy or down at the extravaganza, the turkey extravaganza, that hunting can hurt your feelings. Hunting can cause you to fall in a state of depression. That you had better be all in when it comes to hunting, because you're going to be required to invest yourself deeply in what you do. And when you do that, when you invest yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually into a quest that becomes a lifelong quest, and you get that opportunity that is a fleeting moment, right? And then that opportunity slips away, it can be devastating. And don't expect anybody to understand. Don't expect your wife or your mother or your auntie or anyone else for that matter, except maybe another hunter, right? The pain and the suffering that goes through, and it is painful. It is. I stood on top of a mountain in the Cimarron National Forest, and I arrowed my very first elk after years of going elk hunting. Years, right? And I'm going to share that story with you. I'm not going to share it tonight, but I stood on that mountain. And my dad, who passed away a couple of years ago, was in a nursing home. And they would call me from time to time. I was hunting with other guys, and we had a cellular tower right on the mountain that we were hunting. You could see that cellular tower from, I don't know, 20 miles away. I could see Sheep Mountain from where I was standing. I knew where that was, and that was every bit of 20 miles away. And those lights, they flash on that thing. You can see them a long way. With that tower, I walked right underneath that tower to get to where I wanted to hunt, right? So I had signal, is my point. And my buddies all had their cell phone. We stayed in contact. We were all hunting solo, elk hunting in the mountains, but were in contact with one another should anybody need any help. My phone rang 30 seconds after I shot that bull with my bow and arrow, and I watched him run down into the timber, that arrow sticking out of it. And I was pumped up, man. I was fired up. I was talking to God, man. That's all I can tell you. And that phone rang, and it was a lady from the nursing home. And it kind of brought me back to reality because, man, I was out there, right? She said, I just wanted to call you. And she doesn't know I'm on an elk hunt. She thinks I'm at work or at home or driving in my car or something. She doesn't know I'm going through this personal moment, right? And she says to me, I just wanted to know that we're doing our very best to take you. My dad had come down with horrible dementia. I couldn't take care of him. I was also taking care of my mom, and my sister was helping out. It was a challenge for our family. I had made these hunting plans 6 months in advance, paid a lot of money to go. I couldn't just not go. But Dad was fine. He was in the nursing home, but I'm telling you that, wanted to make sure that you were happy with our service. And I said, oh, man, I'm so happy. I couldn't begin to tell you. And the rest of that story I'll share on another day, but I found it interesting that I got that phone call when I did. And I was not able to recover that bull, and it was a troubling time for me. It was the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows. I spent the next 3 days blood trailing that bull. I'll tell you why in another video. But it was not a good time for me. It was a hard time. But I got through it. And I overcame. And I almost didn't. Almost wanted to quit. But that's what'll happen. You go turkey hunting enough, you'll foul up some hunts. The lucky hunter that gets on a roll and he kills everything he calls to, that's bound to end. You're not always going to have that kind of experience. The experience are going to be highs and lows. It's going to be like a roller coaster. So if you're thinking about getting into hunting, and I know a lot of you guys are experienced hunters, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That, when you have an opportunity that you've been working toward, you've been planning your hunts, you've been getting a quota permit, you've been scouting, you know that there's a certain deer there, you've set up trail cameras, you got pictures of him, and you've hunted him, and you've hunted him, and you've hunted him, finally he's coming into range, and maybe you shoot him with your rifle and you don't recover him. That feels terrible. Maybe you shoot him with your bow and you don't recover him. Are you prepared for that? I tell you, I wasn't. I've never, ever been good with that. If anything makes me want to quit hunting, it's that. But that's a subject for another day. How do we deal with that? And I think I've got my way that I've dealt with it, and it's something you have to address as a hunter and not make peace with, but reconcile. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my quota permit sheet out, and I'm going to pick some numbers. I'm going to pick some places that I want to hunt. And then I'm going to make my plans, and I'm going to prepare. I'm going to take the whole summer to do this. And then I'm going to execute that hunt. And then I'm going to follow through. Okay? It's not enough to stay in your stand for an hour, right? I'm going to get my license. I'm going to get my quota permit. I'm going to make my plans. I'm going to get in my truck, drive there, get in my spot, have a backup plan if somebody else is there. I'm not going to let another hunter ruin it just because I only got one spot to hunt. I'm going to have a whole list of them, right? And I'm going to go down that list until I find my spot. And I'm going to get in my tree stand, and I'm going to follow through. If I plan on hunting till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, from 7 to 2, that's reasonable, all right? It's a long day, but it's reasonable. That's the plan. Okay, and we're going to spend the whole summer, you and I, doing this. We're going to prepare because, as my buddy Darren says, we got 16 weeks to bow season. Are you getting ready? Yeah, 16 weeks. Okay, 16 weeks. And then it's 15 weeks. Next thing you know, it's 10 weeks. Got to get ready. Got to prepare. All right, do your exercises. Get in shape. Be able to draw back your bow from the seated position. Be able to shoot that thing. Know your effective range. All of this is what you do during the summertime. And go fishing too. So that's today's video. I just wanted to prepare newcomers for the possibility of heartbreak and pain. All right, I love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to continue. And don't forget, if you want a copy of my book, Wild Treasure of an Outdoorsman, this Friday, the 10th email gets a free copy. Love you guys. See you. Bye.